Right, so joining us on the Live Motocross podcast this week, as you can probably see, Roger, I've dragged out of retirement and is in his pajamas, I think.
No. I put my best effort on, have my hair done, everything, especially.
So, like I say, we've got Roger joining us this week, and also we've got British Championship rider Dan Thornhill.
How you doing? Thanks for having me on. It's nice to be here and doing something a bit different.
That's it, especially after the tech issues we've had trying to get this podcast going this morning.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to tell everyone how good I am with the computer.
Yeah, I can't understand people who can't do technology. Just can't understand that. So Sophie's already had to talk me through this several times, Dan. Trust me.
I wish I had 2 hours to prepare, really, because I needed to go to the shop, buy a new computer, some new headphones, start from the beginning.
There we go. So I don't know if you've listened to any of the podcasts before, Dan, but what we really like to do on the Live podcast is sort of delve into the backstories of riders. So tell us a little bit about how you started riding as a kid, because obviously your brother rides too.
Yeah, sure. Basically, I started out, like most people did. I think majority of people growing up started when they were young. I had a little PW50. My dad used to race local AMC events. So back when he was racing, they used to do track build days. So on Saturday they would go and build the track, and then obviously race on Sunday. So on the Saturday I'd be racing around the pits on my little PW50, and that's what I used to do for the first couple of years. And then he decided that he would put a bit of time into me, and then that's when it all started, really. So he gave up, and I went and did a bit of racing.
So it seems to be like the normal switch, doesn't it, Roger? Obviously, as soon as the kids get to a point, they then get swapped in, dad stops racing, and then it carries on.
Yeah, it does. Dad normally gets to a point thinking, I'm not getting any better now, so let's try and relive it through my sons. And that's the way it goes. My sons did. My eldest son went into trials, and my younger son played football. So that's the route we went. But it's the route to go down. And obviously, now, was that a positive experience? Because we've all heard of schoolboy dads, but was your dad supportive, or was he hard on you? How did that go?
Well, I mean, I think most dads that want their children to do well are quite firm on them. I would say he wasn't hard on me. I think he was quite firm on me. Obviously it costs a lot of money, doesn't it, to do this sport, and it takes up a lot of time for not just my dad, but my mom and the family as a whole. I have a younger brother that didn't start racing until he was a little bit older, so he used to have to come along too. But I mean, I think without that force from behind, like from your parents, I don't think, as much as a kid wants to go and do good, I think they also have to be motivated from their parents to keep pushing them to excel, I think.
So did he teach you to improve, or how did you work your way up to the level you're at now? Have you had coaching or self-taught? Tell us the route, basically, that you went from starting on a peewee to getting where you are now.
Yeah, so obviously, over the years, I've been with several different people and gone to different coaches and done different things. But majority of my years growing up has been just, me and my dad traveling around the country. My dad would always take me to where the better riders were. I was quite lucky at a young age. Like the area we live in Gloucester, we had quite a few quick lads. So we always grew up in quite a fast centre. So, that was always really good. So we're always pushing ourselves. But yeah,
like part of the GL12 crew, then you're not part of them.
I'm GL10, but I'm close enough to that. But yeah, so we've done it a lot from ourselves. Like we don't really come from a massive financial background, so we've done it on a shoestring for many of years. And obviously I can't appreciate enough my parents what they've done for me. And yeah, we would always go and race with the faster guys. We would always try and watch and learn. And it's obviously been hard, but it's been nice to do it ourselves. And obviously, like I said, I've been to different coaches and done things with different people, but mainly I still always fall back on me and my dad doing it together, really.
So your dad's still heavily involved in?
Yeah, my dad. I'm to be honest, So, obviously as I've grown older, sometimes he becomes too much, and we're always on each other's backs. But like, when we went to Italy last week, I asked him to come with me because he knows me, he knows how I'm feeling by just looking at me in the face. And sometimes I think you need that as a rider when you're making those steps.
Probably leaping ahead a little bit, but one of the big influences and someone who's backed you for a long time, I know, is someone who's very local to me, is Lee Webber of Cab Screens.
Yeah, for sure. I've been with Lee now for 6 years. And again, Lee's been someone a bit like a dad figure. When I didn't really have a great deal going on back in the end of 2014. He stepped in and sort of helped me with a bike and stuff. And then we've built that family relationship over the years. And obviously, with his support, and he's actually taken me through my pro sort of stage from where it started, really.
Well, unusually as well, he stuck with you through the bad times as well.
Yeah, he was obviously something that I needed to mention really as well. Yeah, like, he took me on when, again, like I said, we didn't really have a great deal going on. And then obviously for most teams and the situations arise, like once riders are getting the results, obviously things are very positive. But when they're not getting results and they're not putting the bikes on the field as a team, obviously they need to please sponsors and gain results. And obviously, unfortunately for me, I had 2 years of quite unfortunate really. And he stuck by me through thick and thin. And obviously it's been nice this year to start building back to where I believe I can be. And obviously for the both of us really, or for everybody in my team around me, to show that actually these guys stuck by me because this is what I can and can't do.
Well, he's seen something in you, because he's definitely always spoken positively. When you weren't racing, he still had belief in you. That must mean.
No, it means the world really. And like, I'm sure people have probably asked him why he continues to back me and continues to support me. And to be fair, I ask myself sometimes as well, like, why do people stand by you and keep sticking with you? But actually, I think, he's been very loyal. He's been supportive, not just him, but also his wife. And, he's got kids, he's got a family, and he's treated me like a son for many years. And like I said, sometimes it's nice to be able to show people or prove to people why you stuck by me, I suppose.
Has it helped you as well riding with Harry? Because obviously Harry's, with all due respect, he's been there, done it GP level. He's right at the top. Has that helped you as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, more so this year, I would have said, because obviously last year I had pretty much a full season out of injury. So last year was Harry's first season with Cab Screens. And obviously I did attend a lot of the races, because obviously I felt like I personally, I wanted to be there to keep promoting Lee, although I wasn't racing, because of, like we said, what he's done for me over the years. But obviously, you speak to Harry. I speak to Harry quite a lot, and obviously, I supported him whilst, as like rooted for him or whatever, because he was riding for Lee. But this year with the COVID and stuff, it's been a little bit different. So he's had to stay in England a little bit more. One weekend we did some riding together. He came back and stayed at our place. And generally just, when you see a rider at the race and stuff, everybody's so focused on their job. But when you're outside of riding, we've done some training together on the bike and stuff. And he's been really helpful actually. And it's also nice to ask questions, how, when you run into struggles, I suppose, or run into situations where you don't really know what avenue to take. He's been there and done that, so he can give you some guidance from another rider's point of view, which is nice.
Obviously,
oh, that's great to have on the team. Definitely.
Yeah. Big news from the team this week as well.
Yeah, big news last night. Yeah, the team are changing to blue, so that's cool. That's another step, and obviously, I think a great door for Lee, the whole team really, and obviously us as riders.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about making the changeover?
Yeah, I'm excited for it actually. Obviously, I rode a Yamaha when I first we're going back around in a circle really. So when I first started with Lee, my first year was on a Yamaha 450. So sort of done a whole loop back round to the Yamahas again, and this time is good because I think obviously Lee has more support from the manufacturer, and obviously Yamaha are a good brand. The whole Crescent circle is very very professional, and they have have got a lot going for them. So I think with Lee, Crescent, and Yamaha all together, I think that's going to be a great season for all of us, really.
Yeah, because Paul Denning from Crescent is, he's got credibility obviously through Superbikes, through running a team and running an organisation, but he also is a very big off-road and motocross fan himself. So I'm sure he's going to bring something extra to the team as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've not yet to meet Paul, but obviously from what I hear, obviously what people say, and obviously looking in from the outside with social media, and obviously the foundation he has down there, it looks like he's a very knowledgeable guy, and hopefully, being surrounded by those people as well will also help me and help us as riders, go in the right direction and maybe learn and help achieve more things.
So moving forward, obviously we've had, I say a bit of a rubbish year. It's the whole British has pretty much gone to pot, really. How are you going to implement sort of what training you've been doing this year moving forward into next year?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's been a funny old year because obviously as a rider, you start, I suppose, now this time of year to do your off-season training. Then you start riding the bike early year, and obviously the years have started quite early, haven't they? With Hawkstone being in like February. So you think I raced Hawkstone in February, and I finished my last race last weekend, just gone. So it's been a long year, and obviously we had like a couple of months of doing nothing, but you still, as a rider, feel like you need to train because you don't, if you don't train and you're not putting the work in, you feel like you're cheating yourself. But also you have, over the time we've had to, I suppose, be realistic and also give the body enough rest as well. And obviously with the way things have gone and finance, etc. I've gone and done a bit of work this year, and juggling everything has been quite awkward because you never know, you didn't know when the racing was going to start back up. So you wanted to be firing on all cylinders, but you also didn't want to be burnt out by the time the racing did start back up either. So it's been a rough sort of time, but I think, I'm going to have a couple of weeks off now after obviously Italy, and then start the off-season training and get ready for another good year.
Have you seen that they've released
How did you feel
now?
Yeah, I see that. I just read that this morning actually, and
no British GP. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that sucks a little bit, doesn't it? Really, because it's a big thing for British Motocross. Like there's a lot of fans and stuff that enjoy going to experience that, and obviously it's one thing watching and following the GPs on TV, which I think most people do, but actually being there and having that excitement, and obviously having everybody come to England is good for everybody. And I think maybe I've already seen actually a couple of comments on some of the posts to say, oh, no GP again, and this sucks, that sucks. But I can imagine it's difficult for everybody involved, but obviously it would be nice to have something in England and maybe to even be able to race at a British GP again.
To be honest, you wouldn't want to have been in front this year, would you?
No, most definitely not. I mean, I haven't been surrounded in the GP paddock for very much. We sort of jump in and jump out, but obviously after going to Italy and experiencing that week, there's a lot of involvement and a lot that goes into just even getting the event to run, let alone the racing happening. Like everybody sits at home and watches it and says, oh, this should be different, that should be different, and everybody has their own opinion. But when you're there and you're experiencing it live, you do see exactly what's going in and what's happening and what people are actually, teams and riders and personnel are actually having to do to even get themselves to that race, let alone even lining up.
How was your journey home, by the way? Because I know a lot of people struggle to get back.
Yeah, I think we were quite lucky. Obviously we drove, we did my last race was on Saturday, so we literally loaded up and got on the road, because I know I spoke to a few English people there that their flights were cancelled and things like that. So the borders were getting a little bit more strict. So we had all our paperwork and stuff, which was good. And once we got through the borders, Germany was the hardest one to get through. But once we got through that and we got back home, it was all good. So we were quite lucky, I think.
So just jumping back onto the Italy GP, obviously 2 hole shots over the weekend. How did that feel for you lining up on that gate? Because it must be pretty daunting. Like I would crap my pants, like literally sat there on that gate.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like it was a lot of planning to go in to do it, and obviously, again, I can't thank everybody that has put in to support me to do that. Like obviously, Leat Cab Screens, I have a big personal sponsor that's actually stuck by me for the last few years of nationwide signs, and yeah, also for this trip, I had some. Obviously, I'm a self-employed electrician, and I do some work locally for some builders and stuff. So I had a couple of friends that actually all chipped together and put money in to help me get there and stuff. So that was really cool as well. And obviously I can't thank that enough. But you know, all that's really cool, and there's a lot of preparation to get there. But also once you get there, that's a little bit of pressure as well. You know, a lot of those guys are like, oh, we'll follow you, do well, kick ass and stuff. And you get there and you think about all that, and actually going from like British Motocross to riding the GP scene, you know, just the whole infrastructure and the atmosphere is different. So I think I did the worst thing, to be honest. I whole shot the first race and of the week, and I went around the second turn. I was like, shit, what do I do now? You know.
I know we were actually watching it in the office as well, and we saw you go, and we were like, oh God, he's gone. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously a whole shot's great, and obviously I got quite a lot of exposure for that, which was really cool. And obviously I didn't realize, but I have quite a big following back home. Like people were supporting me, and it was really nice. But yeah, I mean, maybe I should have settled into the first race and then whole shot some more. But you know, I can't turn down a whole shot, and the opportunity arose, and I took advantage of it. So it was cool.
How does the European races compare with the British in standard by speed and standard?
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a popular topic for us actually since I've been back. You know, obviously when you go out to race the Europeans, you know, you think, well, it's not a GP, so the race is probably not going to be as intense. But actually, you know, I think in England we have a big foundation of riders. I think we do actually have quite a country where the racing is strong, and we do have a good depth of rider. And obviously, you know, going from my youth career up into the pros, the biggest transition for me was the intensity for 30 minutes. And obviously I got used to that. But then when I went to Italy, the EMX class was I actually was a little bit shocked how intense the racing was for the whole duration of the race. You know, one of the races I had a little slip off and I was 15th, I think. And it was no different to me being in 5th place or 6th place. You know, I actually, the intensity of that field and the depth of racing was very hot. And that was actually quite a shock to me.
But is that intensity going to help when you come back to doing the British rounds?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like one thing I found with racing the Europeans over the British Championship was, you know, in the British Championship, it's very intense for the first part of the race, and then the race sort of settles down. But in the Europeans, I think, you know, you have different nationalities and different people with different mindsets and attitudes, and I think at European level and GP level, there is no settling down. You know, that is literally 30 minutes of high intensity. You know, I watched the MX2 race, for example, the day after one of my races, and Ben Watson was second chasing Gertz, and they were literally putting in qualifying laps for 30 minutes. You know, and obviously you sit at home and watch on TV, and you don't realize how intense those guys are actually pushing for that long period of time.
Well, that was always the remark when people like Sean were doing the British. Is obviously they're coming off a GP level speed and intensity and riding against the guys like Jake who weren't doing that, and Jake and everyone's felt that they were losing out a little bit because they're not riding at that pace or level all the time. There is a difference.
Yeah, for sure, and I can obviously, up until now I probably wouldn't have been able to agree, but obviously the doing it and being in that situation and experiencing it is, you know, I can 100% understand where they're coming from. You know, like I say, I don't think it's about speed. I think in England we have a lot of fast riders, but it's doing the whole package. You know, like those GP guys race week in, week out. You know, they do time training, 2 motos every week, and they're pushing to their maximum every time they sit on that bike for the whole lap 1 to the last lap of the race, you know. And it's quite easy to sit at home and watch people and say, oh, he's fading, he's not fit enough, or what's that guy doing that line for? But actually, when you're there, there's so much to take in. I think that's what makes the GP rider a little bit more excel a little bit more back home than people that just race British every week.
Was it quite refreshing to ride against different riders as well?
Yeah, it was nice. Obviously, like, you go there and you know the riders, because social media is quite big nowadays, isn't it? So you sort of know who you're competing against. But actually, in England, you get to learn the riders. You know who's strong and who I don't know. Maybe some people are strong for the race, some people are quick at the start, they fade at the end. You know, like, you learn your competitor, don't you? But when I went to Italy, obviously, I didn't really know a lot of the guys I was racing against, and you know, you're in a battle with somebody and you don't actually know what their weaknesses are, or even if they have weaknesses. So you're literally just racing against the unknown, which I really enjoy. That it's like a new lease of life, and it's nice to mix it up now and again.
So what's the plans for 2020? Do you plan to do some more?
I would like to, yeah. I mean, obviously now I've done one, it's like dipping your foot in, isn't it? You've done one now and you think, oh man, I would love to do more of these. Obviously, as everybody talks at the moment, finance is the biggest thing with everything, with motocross. But I mean, my main priority is obviously the domestic stuff, the British Championship, and obviously if I can, I know, speak to some guys and make it possible to do some more Europeans, then yeah, 100% I will be thinking about going to do more.
Well, I think it's definitely a proven series, because I mean, we've seen with the 250s, the guys who come out the EMX 250 straight away are in the top 10 of MX2. So it's a route forward for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And also I think I thought about, the grassroots of motocross when I came back from Italy. Obviously, we had 17 hours in a van, so you start thinking about everything that you've done and what's gone on. But just for I could never understand why we have a lot of talent in England and there's only 3 or 4 Brits in each class at the GP, and then when you see some of the guys go and have a go at qualifying for a European or whatever, I don't think they struggle, but they don't, they're not as maybe strong as some of the other federations in different countries. And like, I would, now I've done a European, I would push anybody to at a young age to go and have a pop at some European 125s or 250s, because once you've done 1 or 2, you then learn the situation, you learn the whole setup. And I think a lot of English riders need to try and do a bit more of that to get that feeling and then become a European stage rider, if you understand what I mean.
Okay, so moving on, we've touched on British Championship. Well, 21 is going to be a new era for the British Championship. How do you feel about that? New promoter, new everything pretty much. I mean, obviously we haven't heard details yet, but I'm sure, knowing Gareth and the RHL organisation, it's going to be done properly. How do you feel about it? Are you excited?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm 100% excited. Obviously, I think it's been a tough year. Just with the whole COVID thing and all the hassle and stuff. It's hard for any organizer or anybody trying to plan something, because they make a plan, it changes. They make another plan, they get penalized for it. There's a lot of social media hassle and stuff. But yeah, I mean, again, I just love riding my bike, and I enjoy racing in the British Championship and all the stuff in England. So, hopefully the COVID scenario gets better and Gareth and his team can, put on a great job and, bring the British motocross back to like it was.
This is it. I know, obviously, it's...
Yeah. I say that's obviously that's in your realm now, because you're going to be heavily involved, aren't you?
I know. You're going to see my face plastered everywhere across every frigging RHL thing that's going to be going on soon. I think Gareth's trying to pimp me out of one of the podcast studios around the back. But going forward, lots of exciting stuff's going to be happening. We're looking at doing, in fact, the calendar actually went out today for provisional dates. Yeah. So we're looking at doing like a bit of a 3-day fun event. I don't want to tell you too much more because obviously I'm not allowed, but there'll be more stuff getting released. We're working closely with MX Nationals as well to make sure that can all be fitted in together and there's no sort of clashes, especially now we've got the GP calendar. So there'll probably be a bit more of a shuffle around, but I'm excited. I think it's about time the British had a bit of a shake up and a bit of a freshen up, as it were.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think, everybody puts 110% in and they're trying to do the best job they can to make British motocross the best it can. But there's so many organizations trying to run events and championships and stuff. And actually, I think as the years are going by now, people are starting to realize that we need to knuckle down together and make this work. And I think there are several guys that actually do want the best for British motocross, which are really working hard. And I think, like you've already said, if Gareth is speaking to, the guys at the MX Nationals as well, then, we're going to have 2 domestic series that are going to be really stacked with talent and bring more exciting stuff back to the British motocross scene.
And what we've been trying to do as well is bring in some outside sources that obviously, because once you're in the world of motocross, everybody knows everyone in motocross. So I think the main goal for us as well would to be bringing other people in, for example, families that want to go out for a weekend, that sort of stuff. So I think we're trying to make it a bit more accessible, motocross more accessible to all people. Fingers crossed.
I do understand that it's difficult for that side of things because I don't know, for example, if you go to road racing, everything's very clean and tidy, isn't it? There's no mud involved and whatever. And I do think a lot of maybe financial backers or even people that are interested in coming to watch, a nice summer's day is great for everybody. But, when you're at a race and it's knee deep in mud and it's freezing cold, some people don't always want that, but that is motocross, and that's what that is the exciting part of it. So I can imagine it's very difficult to gain an audience for organisers and try and keep everybody engaged and happy.
Problem is, there's so many things that a family can do on a Sunday now. So you've really got to work hard because they can do 20 different things on a Sunday and not get covered in mud, as you said. So
yeah, exactly. I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it?
Yeah, motocross is a good spectator sport, no doubt about that. But more people need to see it and to be encouraged to come and enjoy it. And I'm pretty sure that if they come and have a good experience, they'll come again. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think like, I don't know, for example, Fox Hills on a summer's day, look how popular that place can be and has been over the years. It's a nice venue for spectators to come and watch. They can see the full circuit and it makes the atmosphere of the racing better. But, you wouldn't get those people turn up if it was lamping down with rain at Fox Hills on a Sunday, That's the difficult thing for organisers, I suppose.
Unfortunately, that is motocross. It's guys and girls racing around a field, basically, and that's the nature of the sport. So that's the attraction, and it's also the downside as well. In one, it's the good bit and the bad bit.
Yeah, sure.
Let's lighten the mood a bit now. It's getting a bit cheap.
Putting the words to rights, aren't we?
Yeah. So moving forward, you're going to be with Cab Screens next year on the Yam. Anything else happening that you can tell us about? You're going to be throwing in any more GPs? You're going to be doing Western? You're going to be doing any of that mad stuff?
I mean, everything's still early at the moment, like obviously, as you know, the deal with Yamaha only came out yesterday evening. So obviously we're still in early stages of the ride and what next year brings for everybody. But yeah, obviously you mentioned Western. Western's always on my bucket list. It's something that we enjoy as a family. Obviously earlier on you mentioned about my brother. My brother's a massive fan of the beach racing scene. He probably prefers that to motocross. So we always do those sort of things. And obviously he's a little bit gutted this year, as we all are, that obviously Western wasn't able to go ahead and all the other beach races as well, But I mean, yeah, for me next year, going on to my plans, I think obviously, like I said, my main priority with the team and now being on Yamaha is to do well in the British Championship and keep improving from this year's performances. The last 2 years have been a really struggle for me. And, this time 2 years ago, I didn't even know whether I was still going to race a bike or even be able to race a bike with the state of my shoulder. So now it's, I feel like I'm in a good place. I'm going to keep working hard and hopefully, put some decent results on the table in the UK, and then hopefully that might help me able to go to do a couple more Europeans next year too.
Good stuff. Well, sounds like a good plan for 2021. What do you reckon, Roger?
I think we need something to look forward to, don't we? All of us. And 21, by the sound of it, is going to be a good one. I'm sure we all want it to work. We all want it to be good. And as I say, Gareth's the man to make that happen. You're excited. You're probably better off than a lot of the guys in the paddock at the moment because you've got a deal for next year. There's probably quite a few guys at the moment thinking, will I be riding, will I not? A lot of teams thinking, will I be riding, will I won't, because of finance. So really, Dan, you're in a good position to have a good winter, really.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously that's a big topic for everybody at the moment, isn't it? Like when you look at the GP paddock, there's a lot of really good guys that are without rides still at the moment. So yeah, like I said, I've got some nice people supporting me around me, like with Lee over the last few years. Like I said, my personal sponsor, Nationwide Signs, with all those guys backing me, like I'm in a really good position to give it another crack next year and like I said, keep improving.
So what's your plans now? A couple of weeks off?
Yeah, so obviously Italy was like our last race, and that was obviously quite a big thing for us, everybody as a team, as a family and whatever, to organise and plan. So I'm back now. I'm having a week off this week, doing nothing, and then I start back at work next week, I think, and a little bit of pocket money for the winter. And
back being a Sparky.
Back being a Sparky, yeah. And then so I'll probably give myself a couple of weeks off from training, and then I'll start my training program then, ready to be firing on all cylinders when the season starts in, by the sounds of it, March or early April.
Okay. So Defo, I think that will probably round up then episode 20 of the Live Motocross podcast. Dan, thank you for joining us. I know it was a bit of a mad one with tech this morning, trying to get everyone onto one recording platform, but hey, we managed it. Roger, thank you again as well for joining us this week.
You're welcome. We really enjoyed it. Just quickly, Dan, I reckon there's probably a job for you down at Sophie's office. Look, because it looks half finished.
No, we need to get you down here.
Probably. Yeah, some work for you there.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll send you a business card.